Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, I wanted to make a follow up video in this series to take a really close look at freedom of speech and to also take a close look at invasion of privacy, right? And we live in a day and time where people think it's okay to take your information and then just throw it out there on the internet. And a lot of these situations, this is just dead wrong. People get away with it because the victims in these cases probably don't know that they can get remedy through the courts. They're probably also getting away with it because maybe the victims don't know how to access the court system. They probably don't have enough money to be able to go out there and get a lawyer. And then another reason that people could be getting away with this type of thing is that they are protected in the sense that they're judgment proof, right? So if you get a judgment on somebody who doesn't want anything out of life and they're just living day by day, they're not doing anything with their life now, they're not planning on ever doing anything with their life. A person like that is going to be judgment proof. It really wouldn't matter how many judgments you get against a person like that. It's not going to do any good, or it's not going to damage them because they don't care about their life anyway, right? They could be living on government assistance, and if you get a judgment against somebody like that, you're not going to be able to collect anything because you can't collect government assistance. If a person is on SSI, I don't believe that you can. I'm pretty certain if I had to put my money on it, you can't collect money from someone who's on Social Security benefits, right? So sometimes you just have a situation where a person is just judgment proof. So filing an invasion of privacy claim on somebody like that is going to, be like pouring water on the duck's back or something like that. It's just not really going to do any good. But nonetheless, invasion of privacy is wrong. So I wanted to take a step back and look at some of the case law as it relates to invasion of privacy. So if you think about free speech, everyone knows that there is a right to free speech. You can get out in the streets and you can protest. You can even post things on the internet. And even corporations have free speech because corporations are considered a person. And this allows them to, or people in a corporation to publish magazines and put information in magazines. But freedom of speech has a limit when it comes down to privacy. So, one piece of case law I found basically says that the dissemination of non-newsworthy private facts is not protected by the First Amendment. And this is coming from Gilbert versus the Medical Econ Corporation or Econ Company, right? Then there's another piece of case law I found that said that basically, unless it is privileged as newsworthy, the publicizing of facts is not protected by the First Amendment, right? Or this should read, unless it be privileged as newsworthy, or simply put, if it's newsworthy, if it's not newsworthy, the publicizing of private facts is not protected by the First Amendment. So another piece of case law I found says that unless it be privileged as newsworthy, the publicizing of private facts is not protected by the First Amendment. So, I mean, there you have it. The courts have always found that you can't take someone's private information and just put it out there, right? Now, of course, if the information is newsworthy, then you can put that information out there. So, common sense, I believe, is going to apply when it comes down to determining what's newsworthy and what's not newsworthy, right? Like if you have a person that's in the media, they're in the news, you don't necessarily have a right to go and then grab their personal private information and put it out on the internet, right? So if a person is in the news and they're a public person, that doesn't authorize me to go in their garbage can, get their credit card receipt, and basically put their credit card receipt on the internet and say, hey, look, this guy hasn't paid his credit card bill, right? Because obviously the credit card bill is going to be private facts, and I have no right to even though the person is newsworthy, I have no right to basically post that person's information out on the internet. Now, I think the exception probably could be is that if the person was newsworthy because he's a credit card embezzler, and therefore this information that I'm posting is related to the issue at hand, then I would probably get a pass from that, right? So common sense is basically going to apply. You just can't take a person's information and just put it out there, right? Perhaps a person is newsworthy and then I somehow get access to their private living quarters, and then I go in and go through their underwear drawer and take videos and pictures and then put that information out there. Well, I just invaded that person's privacy, so there is limits on freedom of speech. You can't publicize private information, and it doesn't even matter if that person is a public figure or not. The information that you put out there, if it's private information, it has to be newsworthy, right? It has to be newsworthy. Otherwise, you're just simply invading that person's privacy, right? So there are different types of invasion of privacy, right? So basically, the four forms of invasion of privacy recognized in law are: A, unreasonable intrusion upon the seclusion of another; B, appropriation of an other's name or likeness; C, unreasonable publicity given to the other's private life, right? And D, publicity that unreasonably places the other person in false light before the public, right? So this is coming from what's called the restatement, and then it says second of torts, 652A, 1977, which is a collection of volumes of tort law, basically, right? So just getting into some of this stuff. Essentially, I think for the purposes of this series, unreasonable intrusion upon the seclusion of another. If a person has a private ritual, something that they do on a regular basis, and it's not open to the public, maybe for whatever reason, they go into their garage and they work on toy trains or something of that nature. That doesn't give me right to basically put video cameras in that person's garage to basically take videos of them while they're working on their toy trains, right? If a person, for whatever reason, likes to collect houses, miniature houses, that doesn't give me the right to go and capture images of that person's miniature house and put it out there on the internet. It just simply doesn't give me the right. If a person, if I somehow get access to a person's bedroom, that doesn't give me a right to go into that person's bedroom and start taking pictures and videos. And it wouldn't matter if that person is a public figure, because that's that person's seclusion. That's that person's very private life. And I have no right to intrude upon the seclusion of another, right? So the other thing that we should really pay attention of is unreasonable publicity given to another's private life. And again, I think this is going to apply no matter or whether or not the person is a public figure. Everyone has a private life. And even if you're a mega superstar, you still have a right to have some privacy. And I don't have the right to basically go into your private life and start digging up stuff and then just showing it to the entire public, right? So and again, I think invasion of privacy is a huge deal, and I think we do it as a society. We do it on a regular basis, and I just think that people aren't holding violators accountable to putting their personal information out there. They're really not holding people accountable. We live in a world, and I guess I just can't stop saying this. People are just taking pictures of any and everything, and some of this stuff is basically private, and they just put it out there, right? So another claim that we should pay attention to is defamation, right? And to basically state a defamation claim, a plaintiff must present facts showing that the defendant made a false statement about the plaintiff, and the defendant made an unprivileged publication of that statement, right? Now, I also want to throw in here the fact that I actually found other case law, but I thought I actually had it on here, but it turns out I don't. And basically, when you're talking about defamation, it's usually covered under two areas. It's either reckless disregard or malice, right? Either the person was reckless when they put that information out there, or they intentionally put it out there because they're trying to harm your reputation, right? So defamation to me seems like it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. I can't make lies up about you. I can't basically publish that information out on the internet, and I can't take your images and then accuse you of something using those images and put those out there on the internet. And I can't take your image and Photoshop it and the attempt to defame you, right? So again, I mean, it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward in my mind, right? You're either doing it because you're reckless and you don't understand that you're defaming a person, or you're doing it because you're intentionally trying to defame a person. Now, obviously, something like this is going to be balanced. You could have two people out there on a Twitter war and they're just saying really bad things about each other. I don't think something like that is going to apply. But if you have a situation where you just have one person constantly trying to defame the other, then I think that's going to apply. So that's it for this video. Leave your questions and comments below, and please like, share, and subscribe.